Hi guys, it's Erica with Not Your Average Life, and today we are going to do chapter 2 of the Understanding Your Dog series that I'm doing. And today I want to share with you my journey with my dogs and how I got into raw feeding, because I am waiting for a dog to get off transport. I have a lot of time. Everyone's asleep. I'm at work. So we're going to talk about my raw feeding journey. I'm sure a lot of you will be able to relate to mine, but I think it's important to share how we started, especially if we didn't always know about raw food, because it can be really intimidating. And also, I would never want anyone to feel guilty about being uneducated on good dog food. So we're going to just talk about my kind of journey and where I am now and where I used to be with dog food and dog nutrition. So growing up, when I was a child, we had two collie mixes named KD and Ned. And they were from the same litter. They were brother and sister. They looked nearly identical. The male was obviously a little larger than the female, but they were really good dogs. And they were kind of like tricolor collie mixes, but supposedly their mom was a beagle, I think, and you just couldn't see it at all. They really looked like rough collie Australian shepherd mixes. And my parents were very young when they got those dogs, completely uneducated on what good dog food is and just even how to really take care of a dog. And I kind of grew up out in the country, so very much an environment where you feed Purina dog chow. The dogs free feed, and they like to sleep under the barn, and they're never on leashes. They don't get groomed. They don't get brushed. They don't get their nails done. No teeth brushing. Really, they just are. They're almost like they're part of the family, but they're also kind of property. And that's just how I grew up. And I do remember them eating, from a big, 50-pound bag of cheap Purina dog chow, the stuff that's like multicolored, right? And you wouldn't even think twice to feed that, because that's just what you feed your dogs. You see it on commercials on TV, and you see it at the grocery store and at the pet store and everywhere. And Katie and Ned, to my knowledge, basically ate that all day, every day, and that's really it. Maybe like a little piece of steak here and there from my dad, a little table scrap, but very much just like dog chow, morning and night, have at it. And when I was about how old was I? Maybe 12 or something? Maybe a little younger, I can't recall. When I was a little older, I had a toy fox terrier that was given to me by my mom as a kind of like birthday gift. So Katie and Ned were put down because they were old. We're not even going to get into that. I'm just talking about what happened with me. They were put down, and then my mom got me a toy fox terrier named Taser. And Taser was from a puppy mill. Again, you just, when you don't know, you don't know. I forgot to mention Katie and Ned were siblings from, I believe, my uncle's dog who unexpectedly had puppies, right? So like, you don't get the dog fixed, it gets knocked up, the dog has a bunch of babies, and you just give them all away for free to whoever you know and whoever will take them. So Katie and Ned were from a family member who had dogs that should have gotten them fixed and they didn't. Taser was from a puppy mill. Now again, I'm completely uneducated in terms of my mom. She probably just had no idea. She buys Taser, and he is a genetic mess. So purebred, definitely, but poorly bred. His body was okay. Like physically, he wasn't really flawed, but mentally, definitely flawed. So his behavior was pretty poor, very typical small dog behavior. Nipping, doesn't listen well, huge prey drive, attacking the vacuum, cannot touch the dog's teeth or nails, like cannot do his nails. Just kind of your typical small, yappy, barky, kind of poorly behaved dog. And he wasn't like the worst, but, you know, just a puppy mill dog with no training and no nothing. And I didn't know. I was a kid. I loved that dog, but I had no idea what I was doing. But he did spark an interest within me to try to take care of him as best as I could. And I was very intrigued by dogs at this time because we got him when he was a little tiny baby. Like, he was like a teacup baby when we got him. And he only grew up to be, you know, 7 pounds or whatever. Small dog. But again, still feeding Purina dog chow, free feeding, no training, no exercise, just the dog just lives in the house and was eating crap. So, yeah, Taser, poorly fed, and as I got older, you know, when I was 17, I ended up leaving my childhood home, and I went off on my own, and the first thing I wanted was my own dog. I just longed to have my own real dog. I didn't want a little yappy, messed up thing. I wanted like a real dog. And a friend of mine had a dog that had 4 puppies, and me and my friends all took one, and I got King. And King was my everything. He was a lab mix, you know, probably inbred, obviously. I know he was inbred, actually. Poor breeding, but boy, did I love him. And I set myself a goal to take the best care of him possible because I was just absolutely enthralled by him. He was my best friend. And so I still just didn't know what good dog food was, and in my mind, Purina dog chow was the best dog food in the world. You don't even know any different. So when I got King, I was working part-time. I was only like 17, still in school, and I was feeding him dog chow, puppy chow, and then dog chow. And as he aged and got older, he started developing a couple of skin issues. So he had really flaky, dry skin, a very dry, dull, brittle coat, and shedding like crazy. And also just not very fit, like a little chunky. And I was feeding him what the bag recommends to feed, and he just looked like crap. And his behavior wasn't really that great either. And one day I remember being with 2 of my friends, and we brought King to do a little pet store walk around at a Petco. You're allowed to bring your dog in. And I remember trying to quickly brush his dandruff off of his back before we went in because I was embarrassed that there was so much of it. And I remember like wetting my hands and trying to like get the dandruff off and like brush it off because his whole back was just covered, especially near his butt. It was just like so much dandruff and dry, crusty fur, and he just didn't look good. And I remember in that moment, being 17, I was like, what? My dog looks like crap. Like, I love him so much, but like his coat is just horrific. And he, like, why does he have dandruff? I didn't even know dogs could like get dandruff. So I picked up a job at a dog center a little while after that. Fast forward, King was a couple years old, and I started working at a dog center, and my supervisor, he showed dogs. So he had a purebred Great Dane who was absolutely gorgeous, and he showed dogs, he trained dogs, he was like the dog guru, right? He was one of those dudes that knows everything. And I just happened to get into a conversation with him about feeding one day. And he asked me what I fed, and I said, well, Purina dog chow. And he was like, what? Like, how could you do that? I'm like, what do you mean? Like, it's dog food. It's the best. I see it on commercials. Everywhere has it. My vet says it's great stuff. And he was like, oh, honey, no, that's the worst food that has ever been created. It's full of chemicals, colors, It's been recalled so many times. It is absolute garbage, and it's made with rendered parts of rotting carcasses. And I was just like, whoa, I had no idea. And he goes, let me guess, your dog has dandruff, a dry, crusty coat, he poops the size of Texas 3 times a day, and poor behavior. And I was like, okay, you do know everything. Give me your secret. What are you doing? And he goes, well, I feed my dogs a raw food diet, and I always have. And he goes, I give them, chicken legs. And I'm like, whoa, chicken legs with bone? That's going to splinter in their stomach, and they're going to have to go to the vet. And he's like, no, that's only cooked chicken bones that splinter. Dogs can eat raw chicken bones just fine, and it's actually fantastic for them. It cleans their teeth, and it's incredibly good for them. And I remember having an epiphany. I felt like a bomb went off in my head, and I was like, I must know more. And he goes, you got to go home and get rid of your dog food. It's all garbage, and you should try raw. So he hooked me up with a raw food distributor that he used, and he ordered me my first order of raw food. And I gave him the money for it, and he picked it up for me. I went to his house and grabbed it. And he basically gave me a quick lowdown. He said, you got to do your research. You cannot just blindly do this, but this is called an 80-10-10 diet. 80% meat, 10% bone, and 10% organ. And it's really good for your dog. And you feed 2% of their total ideal adult body weight, and you will have the healthiest dog you've ever had in your life. So I did it. I brought all my rolls home, very excited. Obviously, King was dying to eat this stuff. He scarfed down his first meal, very excited. He never really got sick from it or anything. And I'm not kidding, within a week, King looked like a different dog. I have pictures of what he looked like before and after raw food, and within a week, he was only pooping once or twice a day, and it was tiny in comparison to what he was doing before. Way better behavior, because the carbohydrates from the kibble were not putting his pancreas into overdrive and making his entire body tense and anxious all the time and wanting to move and be crazy and, just blowing his blood sugar levels out of proportion, right? He was on real food. And his coat cleared up within days. He literally just looked like a different dog, and he looked fantastic. And I was like, I will never go back. This is absolutely incredible. So King, from then on, was on a raw food diet. And since then, every dog that I've ever gotten has been on a raw food diet. Now, I have supplemented kibble in here and there. We're talking over an almost 10-year span. I have thrown kibble in here and there between training treats, some camping trips where I needed to bring something easier than raw food, but they have always been on raw. And every dog that I've had, all 7 of them have been on raw food. So what I want you to take away from this is, number 1, never feel guilty for being uneducated. You can feel guilty if you are educated and still decide to make the wrong choice morally for your pet. But if you were uneducated and genuinely thought you were doing the right thing, don't feel guilty and don't beat yourself up. It's never too late to improve your dog's life. It's never too late. It can be intimidating trying to get into raw food. There's a lot of resources out there and a lot of research to do. And it can feel very much like you have neglected your dog or not given them what they needed. But you just have to remember that when marketing and the biggest brands in the world are shoving dry food in your face 24/7 between commercials, online ads, even your vet probably is a Purina advocate, it's very easy to go wrong if you're not educated. So don't beat yourself up. It's never too late to start. But for me, it was, I'm very lucky that I realized kind of early on that dog food just didn't quite make sense once you thought about it, dry dog food that is, and yeah, ever since then we've been on a raw food journey and my dogs thrive on it. They look incredible. I have a dog who is 9 and she literally looks like she's 3 and has the energy of a 3-year-old. It is a very beautiful thing when you feed your dogs a biologically appropriate diet. So I encourage you guys to do your research and stuff, and it's fun. It is a very cool world of people, and your dog will just live its best life possible. Now you may be wondering, okay, you're saying that kibble is bad, Purina is bad, dry dog food is bad. Why? Well, there are probably 100 reasons why commercial dry dog food is bad, but we will go over some of the main ones that really struck me. So number 1, you're feeding your dog dry kibble in the morning and at night for their entire life, the same kibble every day, for what, 13, 15 years? There is no way that is healthy. Seriously. There is no way that eating the same thing all day, every day, for 13 years is healthy for any animal. That is disgusting. Not to mention, dry kibble is very much like cereal or fast food for dogs. It is fast food. It's convenient. You scoop it and plop it in a bowl. That's it. But it doesn't really make any sense because dogs need a diet with 70% minimum moisture. Kibble does not have any moisture. It has what, at most 12%, and that's on like a good quality kibble. Kibble is dry. It is completely dry and crusty and has been baked 5 times. Has literally probably no nutrition in it at all, really, if you're getting the garbage stuff. It's not even real food. So you're giving your dog dry, crusty cereal every day for its entire life. That's just not appropriate, especially with animals that need a very high moisture percentage. And then you have to remember all of the dyes and everything that they have to add in to make it complete and balanced. If your dog food is dyed different pretty colors to look nice, it's crap. And if your dog food has 8,000 ingredients and none of them are real and they're all synthetic vitamins that have been created in a lab, it is not good dog food. Kibble is kind of like the coffin for dogs, especially if it's Purina, Pedigree, Royal Canin. They're all just, I don't even know where to begin in terms of my disgust for them. You just cannot feed your dog that for its entire life. It is completely inappropriate. So, kibble just leads to so many issues too. You have to remember that the only reason that they can digest that kibble is because their pancreas is being told 24/7 to digest the carbohydrates in kibble, because dogs don't naturally produce amylase at that level to just be constantly working in overdrive to digest carbs like that. It does not clean their teeth. That is a myth. Contrary to belief, dogs can't chew. So when you see on the label that a dog food is extra crunchy to clean its teeth, that your dog doesn't even chew. It's not capable of that. Dry, crusty cereal kibble does not clean your dog's teeth. That's like saying that Ritz crackers clean my teeth. That makes no sense. Many dogs that eat kibble have gingivitis and plaque buildup and just horrific teeth by the time that they're like 3 to 5, which is not even a thing that exists when you feed your dogs raw food, because there's no carbs that stick onto the teeth with sugar and sit there and turn into plaque. Dry food is just really not good. There are brands that make decent dry foods, but if we're talking big brand name, Purina, Pedigree, stuff like that, it is just awful. Blue Buffalo, oof. Look at the recalls, guys. Just go look at the recalls. Check out Dog Food Advisor. Check out how many recalls Blue Buffalo has had and how many recalls Purina has had. That in itself is enough evidence to stop feeding it. So, and I do understand kibble is convenient. You might just want something convenient, but you can use freeze-dried or dehydrated raw. Same thing, you scoop it, it's dry, put it in a bowl, add some warm water, let it sit for 10 minutes. Convenient, and it's raw food. It's just hydrated. So, again, I wanted to kind of throw out how my journey started because I am no saint. I grew up with dogs that were eating Purina dog chow. I grew up in that household where mutts were the healthiest dogs, and Purina is the best, and we don't use leashes, and we don't cut their nails, and we don't brush them. It's just terrible. But lack of education can do that. So I wanted to show you guys where I kind of started, where I grew up. Very much a backcountry mentality of dogs being kind of property in a sense, and you feed them like livestock essentially. But we don't always have to be like that. Once you get educated, it is your choice and your responsibility as a pet guardian to make the right decision for your dog. You gotta get over convenience, you gotta get over pricing, you have to be realistic because that's what your dog deserves. That is your responsibility to them. They don't get to make that choice on their own. So I just encourage you guys to do your research, think about it. Let me know if you have any questions or comments down below. We're going to continue this series. Let me know about your journey, if you have ever kind of transitioned from maybe kibble to dehydrated or freeze-dried or just gone straight to raw. Let me know down in the comments what you think, and I will see you guys on the next video, which will be very exciting. Go live your life, go kiss your dog and love your dog, love yourself, and I will see you on the next video. Bye guys.